Here we go. I was muted. We are live. What's up? What's good? What is happening? Welcome to the Sports Bar here on WTF Nation Radio and U.S. Army WTF Moments. I am one half of the Sports Bar, the actual King Smith, and over my shoulder, right here, is my main man, Coach. Coach, say what's happening.
What do you hear? What do you say, King?
Hey man, I'm glad to be here. I am back in my normal studio. We have the sports bar going on tonight, my man. And you know what? I couldn't ask for anything else to do here on a Sunday evening. How was your day, my man?
Man, it was filled watching three separate races. Watch the F1 race, watch the Indy race, watch the NASCAR race, and it really makes me miss football. Even the XFL ain't filling it out there. I can't wait till the NFL season begins again, and at least baseball season begins, and I'll be happy on Sundays again.
I heard that the XFL has put out a fantastic product. Somebody that was down in Florida sent me a text message today and asked if I was at the Washington D.C. game, and I wasn't, man. But it was a gorgeous day. I couldn't go today due to some familial obligations, but I do have plans on attending, filming some content here for the people that watch and listen to the sports bar, and I'm gonna put it out there, show you guys what the XFL product is live as we're doing it. So I'm looking
It
forward to
ain't
that, my
it
man.
ain't it ain't that bad on the TV, listening in to the referees, especially on the replays, gives you a little bit better of what's happening underneath the peep show booth in the NFL. Listening to the plays as they're coming off the sidelines, pretty immersive action out there with that. Football play, I mean, there's schools in Texas high schools in Texas that play a little bit better, but I'm not here nor there. I can't say anything bad about it. These guys are getting paid to live out their dream again or try to get the attention of people. And for them, I say I salute.
Absolutely. Before we get into today's show, for the things that we're talking about, let's acknowledge the people that have tuned in and are responding. So we are streaming across multiple platforms here. We also put out a podcast after the live stream ends. So we're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and I think Twitter. All right. And we have some early people that I want to acknowledge. We have Bill Crowell. He said, "What's this?" Bill, look at this face and this other face that's right here. This is the sports bar where your host, myself, and coach talk about all things sports news related and things just life in general, stuff that comes across our mind. And we look to engage with you, the listeners and the viewers, and provide a product. There's other stations. I don't know how you found the sports bar, but there are six other shows here on this platform.
Hmm.
We're going to talk about those at the end, but hopefully you enjoy our live stream. And if not, still watch it anyway. For those of y'all that are watching on Facebook or YouTube, do me a favor, hit that like button. All right. Help us out on the algorithms. That's the algorithm. Spell algorithm, coach.
ALGORYTHEM. I got
Hey,
no freaking idea.
eh, oh, hold on. Exactly what he just said. We got Michelle early. She said, "Good evening." Michelle,
Michelle.
good evening to you, lady. Thank you for tuning in. That is one of my biggest supporters in more ways than one. Well, wow, we got David Cunningham said, "What's up with Ja King?" We're going to talk about Ja, all right? We're going to talk about Ja. So I've caught up with the early comments. We're going to hit up, Coach, I'm going to start us off with the feel good story. We're going to
Let's
talk
hear it.
about Ja Morant. Then I'm going to bring it down with some news about a domestic violence incident that has an update.
Mm.
We're going to also talk about some March Madness because we are in March. Okay. We're going to have a WTF Nation Radio Listeners League bracket where we're going to offer the winner something. Okay. So if this is your first time doing a college basketball NCAA men's bracket, or if you are a bracket extraordinaire, come join us. All right. The link to join I'll highlight later, but it is in the description of this video as well as the Sports Bar Facebook page. So that's where you can find the link to join, but I'll be sure to highlight that. We have some other news as well, so let's just jump right into it. Coach, I've got to go with the feel good story first because we're gonna,
All right,
I'm gonna start us here. All right, I'm gonna bring us
let's do
down a
it.
bit, but I promise you, I'm going to bring us back up, man. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready for it, brother.
All right. Have you ever been to a hockey game?
Oh yeah, plenty of times, man. Plenty of times.
I've never been. It is still on my list to go. And there's the who is it? The Washington Capitals that's down
Yeah.
here in the DMV
Wa-
area.
Washington Capitals, one of the greatest players in NHL history, Alexander Ovechkin, is playing right in your backyard.
Ovechkin, I know who he is. I've got a friend that's a huge Ovechkin fan, and when he came down here to visit, my friend didn't come down here to see me. He came down here to see Ovechkin play. I was a little bit hurt by that. But we're gonna show my screen here, and let's get this going. And I'm gonna show you what might have been one of the coolest videos that just simply made me smile. Let's see. Don't mess this up, assistant. You better get this right. Boom. Okay, watch this video between this young kid, George. This was at a Detroit Red Wings game. There are good things that can happen in Detroit, and this was one of them. All right, so we were having some sound issues there that I could tell, but hey, that paused on something interesting. What is that?
Oh, hey
So,
now.
so coach, I'm not sure if the sound was coming through, but um, this video it kept spanning from this guy George, who this was his first hockey game, and if you see his face here, the guy was overwhelmed with his senses and everything, and then people were cheering, right? And
Hmm.
then the cameraman would pan to somebody else that was at the game from the opposite team, and the whole crowd was boo. And then they would come back to the kid, and they would just go wild, yeah. And that happened about 2 or 3 times, man. And I just thought it was insanely dope. The cameraman definitely got this one right, and it was a feel good story.
Man, that is awesome to see something like that. This kid's first time out there at an NHL game and they're cheering him and everybody else is getting booed. Yeah, you're daggone right. You do it for the kids because the kid is now going to have a memory that's going to last him a lifetime. Hopefully, goes back and, goes to more games as he's growing up and remembers that this was the first time he ever went to a game. I can tell you, man, the first time I ever went to a hockey game, I actually do know this. It was at Madison Square Garden and I learned the greatest Ranger chant in the face of the earth. I can't whistle, but all I know is that at the end of the whistle, three words that every Ranger fan knows: Potvin sucks.
what
Everybody knows Potvin sucks if you're a Ranger fan.
what does
Yes,
that
those are
mean,
three
Coach? I don't know
words.
what that means. Educate me.
All right, back in the '80s, the Islanders had a great player by the name of Dennis Potvin, even though he sucked. And Dennis Potvin injured one of the Ranger players during the playoffs on their way to winning on the way for the Islanders winning the Stanley Cup. And with the rivalry being around, just you hear the whistle of the oot doot 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 doot, and then right at the end when it goes dent dent dent, everybody in MSG says Potvin sucks. Doesn't matter. Whoever whistles it, you always have to end it with Potvin sucks. And it's because Dennis Potvin, as great as an NHL player as he was, and he's a hockey Hall of Famer, he still sucks in the eyes of all Ranger fans. 40 years later after he stopped playing. We're going to be whistling that all the way until even past when he dies. We're still going to be saying Potvin sucks.
All right, I like it. That's what's up, my man. I appreciate that
Yeah,
education, coach.
not a problem. I'm old. I know.
So before we go to the next news story, let's take a look at the comments. We got Natasha Harden over on Facebook said, "Where y'all at? Hey, we're live. We are live from the studio. And, we have to give this uh we are live from the sports bar. Really? That's just
Yeah,
really where it
we're
is.
live
This
from the sports bar. Come on, Michelle. Oh wait,
this is
dang,
the sports
Michelle.
bar. I have my drink over here. I'm not going to tell you what's in the cup, but I do have my drink over here at the sports bar. We got David Cunningham. Salute to David. He's giving us an NBA update. You got the New York Knicks down to the Boston Celtics in the first quarter, 31-34. I appreciate that update. NBA action has been going on, and we are going to cover some NBA news as well. That kid Randall, he's not a kid. It's wow. I feel old that I'm saying that kid to a professional basketball player, but Jay Randall, man, he's been going off for the Knicks lately. I saw somewhere that he had a ridiculous amount of, I think it was like a 47 threes made over 3 games
Yep.
and just going off,
Yep.
man. I didn't recall him being that good when he first started playing, and then he got traded to the Knicks and decided, man, I'm gonna be a superstar here in this market, and has been playing phenomenal.
Yeah, he has been. Last season he didn't do that great, but the previous season he was a Hall of Famer. Excuse me. He was an All Star, and he was doing great for the Knicks. The one thing I can tell you though is that ever since they got Jalen Brunson, and it's been underrated ever since they got him on the team this past season. Jalen Brunson has brought a level of play to help out everybody on the Knicks that nobody thought that he was going to end up having. And he's got the Knicks playing, if not better than when they had Melo and Stoudemire on the team. I'm not going to go early '90s or the '90s Knicks because that's my team. That's always been my team. They ain't as good as them, but I'll tell you right now, they're playing a hell of a lot better than the Knicks that were being run by that fucking piece of shit Isaiah Thomas.
Oh man, they said Brunson is out with a hurt foot. I didn't know that. And yeah, Isaiah
Yeah.
Thomas. Oh man, you could see his history and how people were with him, and the fact that it almost seems nobody wanted to play with the dude.
Nobody liked him on the Pistons. Nobody liked him when he was the coach of the Knicks. But James Dolan, the most incompetent owner besides Jerry Jones and and Daniel Snyder and all of the professional sports, didn't care about that. I mean, for crying out loud, him and the Knicks and Isaiah Thomas had that one woman, that sexual harassment and a sexual assault going on in there, and they continued having their jobs, and they brushed it all off, saying that she was lying even though the judges said that she wasn't lying and ended up awarding them money against the Knicks. James Dolan and Isaiah Thomas, they were the best way to say it. No, I can't say because that would be way too crude. But I'll just say that both of them are absolute shitbags, and I hope that when both of them die, birds defecate all over their graves because that's what they
Man,
deserve.
birds. I thought that if birds like defecated on you, it was a sign of good luck, though, Coach.
No, I'm talking about Sue Bird and Larry Bird.
I like it.
Yes, yes, Sue. I'm still a little bit, perturbed from our date back in high school, but it's all right.
Hey man, I have to try to see if we can get Sue here on the
No.
show. See if she can.
Oh, hell no.
Oh, I'm just joking. That would be funny though.
Yeah.
So, Coach, March is not just known for March Madness. It is also known for the mustaches, as
Mhm.
well as Women's History Month. Now, Women's History Month commemorates and encourages the study, observance, and celebration of the vital role of women in American history. I'm reading this from womenshistorymonth.gov. There is a website for everything. There's a month for everything. Well,
Yes, there is.
since we're staying around NBA, the Toronto Raptors put out this video, and the immediate backlash that occurred was just hilarious, in my opinion. And I'm going to play the video. Hope that the sound comes through this time. And then see what the Toronto Raptors had to say. And follow that up with some of the comments that came from this video. Let's take a look.
Girls run the world because they don't.
You got these
Oh,
players
God.
that this was from the official Toronto Raptors media page, and it's all women are great because one dude said they procreate, another dude said they run the hold on they run. You know what? Let's just go back and play the video
Yeah, let's
because
go play it.
David
I got
Cunningham
the
said
quote
that we
up
lost
here.
sound, so I'm just gonna go back and play it.
I'm
See
gonna
if,
roast this motherfucker.
see if I don't lose the sound. Here we go. Hold on.
Girls run the world because they're the only one that can procreate. They birth everybody.
All women are great because they're all queens.
Dear
Oh,
God
they
almighty.
procreate, they birth everybody, and what was the third one?
They procreate, and because they are all queens.
Oh, they're all queens. Okay.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Okay. All right. Where
That was Scotty Barnes who said that all women are great because they're all queens.
where do we? You know what? Let's start with this one. All women are queens. Hey.
Yes, all women are
all.
queens.
Oh, that's what he would have gone.
Yeah, I wonder how RuPaul feels about that one. You know. I mean, I'm not going to get into politics on here, but what actually defines a woman, and I'm pretty sure that there's a couple drag queens right now that are still ticked off about being banned from other states that would like to have a word with Mr. Barnes about what it means to be a queen.
Oh man, there's the people, man, that came out and talked about two songs: the Whitney Houston "I'm Every Woman," and then man, what's the other one that recently got in the hot water lately? That feminists came after.
Wait a minute, not the Beyonce.
I'm a natural
one.
woman or something like that.
Oh, you make me feel
Yeah.
like a natural woman.
Oh man, yeah, that song was done by man, Aretha Franklin. Yeah, Peter. I'm not Peter. The feminists
And
came
by the way,
after.
you want to talk about the queen? That is the true queen right there. Don't you dare say anything bad about Aretha.
Man, hey, all of the feminists, man, they decided that, hey, they're gonna come after that because what's a natural woman? Coach, where does the idiots end, and what do they stop with, man? To come after an Aretha Franklin song, like, ooh, that was in the 60s.
Yeah, that was the 60s. I mean, for crying out loud. Yeah. Nobody's going to say anything about It's Raining Men. Like, men's going to go ahead and drop down from the sky, falling on top of a bunch of women. Come on. The weather, what was it? The Weather Girls? Yeah, the Weather Girls are singing about It's Raining Men. Nobody's complaining about that. But a natural woman, you're going to cancel the queen of soul. You're going to cancel her out, for crying out loud. A true queen of soul. Oh, my
Girls run the world because they're the only one that can procreate. They birth everybody.
All women are great because they're all queens.
Even the crackhead ones, they're queens too.
Yeah. Now, I got something about this knucklehead who said that all women are great because they birth everybody.
Yes.
You know what this motherfucker's name is?
Oh, what's his name?
His name is Precious Achawia.
Oh.
The motherfucker's name. Okay, His name is Precious. Your name is Precious. All right, I'm going to use. Oh my dear goodness gracious! You cannot be named Precious and be a man. Okay, your name is Precious. Precious. Precious Achu. Come on. A precious sneeze. No, 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 no. Yes, girls run the world because they give birth to everybody. That's what you said, Precious. For crying out loud. You're named after what we call a little baby. You're named after what we say when, when a little panda sneezes. You're named after what happens, after you're doing a little bit of sexy time and, your woman just goes ahead and goes, "Ooh, you're so nice." And you say, "You so precious."
You so
Your name
precious.
Precious. You ain't got no room to say anything about women. Your motherfucking name is Precious.
Precious.
Dear goodness gracious! And Malachi Flynn, that's the knucklehead who said he's the only one that can that they're the only one that can procreate. Last I remembered, it takes two people to procreate:
Bingo. Ding, ding,
a
ding.
man, which Malachi I hope is, unless he's a natural woman, and a woman. They are not the only ones that can procreate. If that was the case, then lesbians all over the world would be having babies. All right? It ain't happening that way. Okay? And I don't care who I offend on this one. Malachi Flynn and Precious and freaking Scotty Barnes. You two, all three of y'all are you guys need Jesus. Y'all need Jesus. That's your daggone problem. Y'all are talking about women being queens and being completely tone deaf about this. Either that or somebody's just feeding you lines and you're not smart enough just to say, "What in the hell am I saying?" Come on now, Precious.
Well, see, my issue
Precious.
stems from a couple of different things. The thing that I'm going to highlight is there was likely a media department that did this. There must have been the intern that was running the production of this because there is no way that they simply asked a question where if the statement was Beyonce said girls run the world, why do you think that's true? And that's the answers that they gave. And the media person goes, yeah, you know what? That makes sense. Publish. They had to have been an intern and likely not a person that hopefully runs that department that QC'd that and goes, that's what we're going to publish and put out there. It made the organization look bad. It made the three young men that made those statements look bad. And it was just an overall tone deaf message, in my opinion. So much so that the Toronto Raptors came out and issued an apology by saying, our sincerest apologies to our players, our staff, and our fans. We'll work to do better today and every day afterwards. That was it.
They should apologize just for being Canadian. That's the daggone problem.
It
This might be acceptable in Canada. It might be acceptable in Canada, but my goodness gracious. The most tone deaf daggone thing I have ever heard in my life coming out from something with women. My goodness gracious.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, coach, let's go back to the comments before we go to the next subject. We have no new comments. So let's go to the next subject. What is your opinion on up and coming superstar Ja Morant of the Memphis Grizzlies?
Ja Morant is a great talent in the NBA. He's an all star. He has the ability to be a superstar. But like many people that have come before him and probably will still come after him, and I can go down a list going all the way from the 80s, 90s, 2000s in this decade. He's at a crossroads right now. He's at a precipice of what he needs to be doing. Is he going to make himself a superstar player, or is he going to make himself a knucklehead team distraction and worry about what's happening and what he is doing off the court than what he is doing on the court? Because as of right now, what he's doing on the court is being outshined by what he's doing off the court.
I agree. I agree. Every time you turn around, he's in the news for something, and you're not really talking about his on the field content lately as much as you're talking about his off the field stuff. And that could be by nature of his star, his profile, and what he's doing. But for a kid that by all accounts was raised well, had a good education, went to a good school, this guy's image is starting to trend in a negative way for the most part. And one of his most recent incidents and things that has came to light was last year, I guess, at some type of charity basketball game or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
A kid and him got into it, and Ja accused the kid of throwing a ball at his head or something, and then put his hands up as if he was ready to fight. And the Memphis Grizzlies superstar exposed the gun, so to speak. Like, hey, you don't want to run up, or I'm gonna get the jammy on you. And that's kind of what ended from that, you know. But man, when you have a certain star and a certain profile, there's things that you just simply can't do. That's my take on that. With a certain profile comes a level of responsibility that's just different. Because
Mm-hmm.
everything you say and everything you do is going to be scrutinized by everybody, to include us.
Oh yeah.
So after that story came out about that kid, John Morant, and doing what I think was just an innocent celebration, that story kind of came back up because here he is celebrating a teammate for scoring a good bucket, yet he made an interesting choice of celebration that I want to highlight on the screen here. Let's take a look. Nope, wrong page. And this is the page. Make that bigger. That's what she said. And play.
Contract to set up. We got our flyby king to set up the John Morant.
There's Jot right here.
Yeah, we got the sound again. The sound's not coming in, buddy.
Oh man. All right. Well, if y'all can see the video, I'm not sure what's going on with the sound, but if y'all can see the video, his teammate comes up here, takes a shot. Ja sitting right here. He looks away, and then he puts up the gunshots.
You see Brandon Clark, like he's like the whole.
Which in basketball is not necessarily a bad thing. It means that that person's a sniper, you know. But when you have like gun related news over your head as a high superstar profile, that's one of the last things that you should be doing. Coach, what say you?
First off, John Morant, your country ass, it never grew up around the hood, okay? You're from daggone Sumter, South Carolina, outside of Columbia, South Carolina. Columbia, South Carolina is no hood. It is not like where Allen Iverson grew up. It's not where Coach grew up. It's nothing like that. Okay, you got a town of 3,000 people. You're a damn country boy. All right, let's say that right now. You a damn country boy. That being said, I get that he was doing that, and there's another that he did that. And look, you hit a shot. I've seen it where you've shot the guns. You know, boom, boom, boom. You holster them. You blow off. You know the two guns right there. I've done that after I've made a couple shots. All right, because I felt like I was just shooting like crazy. And yeah, I get that. But another thing about this being this daggone tone deaf. Man, you don't do that after a video first surfaces of you trying to go ahead and put your daggone, you brandishing a gun, and then you're going to go ahead and try to shoot them up. Remember? All right, let me ask you this one. This is going way back, and this is also back from your neck of the woods. You remember what happened with Gilbert Arenas back in 2004, 2005, somewhere around
Yes,
there?
yes. Gilbert Arenas talented on the court, but had the reputation of
Ma-
a hooligan.
Yeah, he gets into a gun-related incident, and then after he gets into the gun-related incident, he goes off on a game, and then he starts shooting over in there. What kind of image are you showing? And that boy was suspended for the rest of the year after that.
As he should have been.
I mean, come on, Ja. You got to be thinking about that, man. Come on, you do. You know that John Morant actually grew up in the same town as possibly the second best pure shooter in NBA history?
Ray Allen?
Yes, he did.
Oh, I took a gamble on that. Who's the first best?
Oh, the best. All right, I am unfortunately saying this because he is that good and he's that talented, and that fundamental, and that's Steph Curry.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. You got Steph over Ray.
I got Steph over Ray. Ray came first, but Steph, he's able to create his own shot. Ray, he didn't really create his own shot, but I could say that, with fundamental wise, Ray had one of the best pure jump shots in NBA history. Steph's jump shot is just as equally as good. And I saw that back when he was in Davison. But yeah, John Morant and Ray Allen, they came from the same town.
You know what? I haven't done a top five in a while. That sounds like a top
Ooh.
five episode that I'm going to just produce. I'm going to not tell you who I have listed and see where you agree or disagree
Oh dear
on
God!
my
If it's
top
anything,
five there,
if
coach.
it's anything like your dunkers, and you leave MJ off the list and leave Dr. J off the list, we're gonna have a nice debate about your top five shooters.
All right. So, do you have any closing thoughts there on Job before we go to the next story, coach?
Okay, Ja, like I said, he's at the precipice of whether or not he wants to follow down the road of trying to be one of the superstars in the NBA or just a regular star. Gilbert Arenas out of the league. Nobody says anything about him right now. No Hall of Fame.
Ooh.
What's his name? John Wall. John Wall has bounced now from team to team to team to team to team, but he always worried about all the shit from outside of the court and everything.
Hmm.
Guy
Nope.
was number one pick in the draft, yet nobody wants him anymore. All right. You're going to end up following down those types of paths if you do not clean it up. And there is a time right now where you're young, you're stupid, and you can make those stupid mistakes before you turn into a Darius Miles and be out of the league and on your butt worrying about what's going to be happening. How are you going to end up making your kids because you're, paying for your kids after you blow throughout money? Don't be that way, Ja. Get your head squared on straight. Get it back onto your neck. Play your heart out. Be the ball player that you are. Do not make the stupid decisions, and the sky's going to be the limit for you.
All right. You know who I put Job Moran at as far as his play style? Watching him play, I think he's very similar to Derrick Rose. You agree or disagree on that?
Man, Derrick Rose. All right, I've got a little bit of a twisted history on Derrick Rose just because I saw him playing with the Knicks and he was a shell of the player that he was.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember those first couple of years with the Bulls and how, he ended up becoming the second year in the league. He won the MVP and he brought the Bulls back to, decency, for the first time in a long time. I would give him a little bit of the early Derrick Rose. That's you got that right before he started having all those knee problems and Derrick Rose. A lot of people don't remember about how good he was during the first 2 years. He was so good that they had to change the the CBA, the Central Bargaining Agreement, to pay for him. There's that Derrick Rose rule now of whether a player wins an MVP during that time period about bumping up his salary and everything. Derrick Rose was that good coming out of Memphis, right? Yeah, he was in Memphis. Yep, he was that daggone good when he came out of there, and I could see John Morant being that way. Yep,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Cool deal. As always, before we transition over to the next topic, let's take a look at the comments here. Over on YouTube, we have my father, Larry Smith. That is actually my dad. It says, waving my hand at you, King. Hey, Pops, I will wave my hand back. Thank you for tuning in. Coach, my dad and I spent some
Mister
time. Hmm?
Mister Smith, how you doing this evening, good sir?
I had the opportunity to spend some time with him. He is a U.S. Army veteran. Did about just over 10 years as a heavy truck driver
Hmm.
operator,
88 Mike. Outstanding.
and we spent the last week together, man. And something that we did that I thought was pretty cool. Speaking of racing, we went and did one of those indoor go kart racings at this place called the Autobahn in Memphis, Tennessee. And let me tell you, man, that thing was so much fun. If you go over to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/ at the actual King Smith, I did a video of my father and I racing. It was the first time in our adult lifespan that we've done something like that, and I really enjoyed my time.
I'm not going to lie to the audience. I am subscribed to the actual King Smith vlog, and I did see little snippets of that video over there, buddy. That was actually pretty daggone cool seeing you going through and doing those races, man. That was some cool shit.
That's what's up, man. Thank you. And he responded. He's still watching. He said that he's doing great and thanks.
Awesome. Awesome. You got a great son.
Oh man. Oh. Thank you,
Oh, there
coach.
we go. Yeah.
Thank you, coach. Thank you. Let's see. David Cunningham over on Facebook said, John Morant, your father Usher is not a good role model. And what he means by that, have you seen John Morant's dad?
Yes, I have. Yeah, he does kind of look a little like Usher.
Man, his dad looks like it will make you do a double take. So Usher Raymond, for those of y'all that are watching and are listening that don't know who we're talking about, Usher Raymond is a famous R&B singer. He's a performer,
Man, if we
dancer.
gotta, do we really have to explain who Usher is? Oh my
Hey,
gosh! Wow.
U.S. Army WTF Nation listeners are worldwide. They may not know who Usher is. Usher's a megastar, but some people may not know who Usher is.
Man, you make me wanna. Uh, 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 you make
Uh,
me wanna. Come on, man. I was in high school when
Start
that
a
came
new
out.
relationship with you. This is what you do. Hey, hold on. Let me give myself the buzzer.
Told I said, yeah.
Usher has some good hits, but yes, his dad does
Oh
look
yeah.
like Usher. And every time I see him and he's, starting something on the court with players like Shannon Sharp, I just want to laugh because all I see is Usher every single time. You see, he said David Cunningham said, Steven is like Lamar Boone. When his jump shot comes raining out the sky, it will wire you up. I don't know who
Who the
Lamar
who
Bundane is.
who the hell's Lamar Boondane?
Hey, is that a
Hey,
fictional
I've been
character on a movie and I'm just supposed to know the reference?
I've been following basketball my entire life, and I have never once heard of Lamar Boondane.
You've got to throw us a bone there, David. Let us
Who
know who
the
Lamar Boondane is.
And I'm even going on Google. There ain't no Lamar Boondane.
We got over on Facebook, Pete the Greek says, so where are you and where would I rate Michael Jordan? So we were talking about pure shooters earlier. Jordan's not known as a shooter, right? He's known as a scorer, but I wouldn't say a shooter. If you were to put me in a box and tell me to rate Jordan as a shooter, he hits top 10. I don't think I'd put him top 5, but he's there, coach.
All right. Well, here's something that I would say about the way that we think about shooters. We think about how long their range is. Steph can pull up from 30 and drain it just on a dribble jump shot. Pete Maravich did the same exact thing, and back in the day, the longer jump shot, even the logo Jerry West had a great jump shot. And if they had a three, and we all pull this out within range in the 3-point line, thinking that Steve Kerr, John Paxson, Mark Price, these great shooters because they were great behind the arc, Steph, Ray, Reggie, all of these guys, great shooters. Here is a stat that I will never forget about Michael Jordan. In his last 3 seasons in the league, he led the league in field goal percentage from 21 feet, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, and 15 feet away from the basket.
Oh, wow.
So let's think about that for a moment. He did not have the best 3-point field goal percentage. on the team or in the NBA. But throughout the NBA, 22 inside the 3-point line, from the foul line to just inside the 3-point line, he led the league in field goal percentage in those jump shots. I would have to say that his shot was not fundamentally the best, but the way that he was able to create his shot, fire his shot off, and keep the fundamentals the best, especially when you look at his last shot as a Chicago Bull with that flick of the wrist and keeping the follow through all the way up until it drained right over on Russell. He is one of the best shooters in NBA history.
Ooh.
Top 5, I will say he is in my top 5.
Okay.
Jordan's in my top 5, yes.
All right. Shout out to Pete the Greek for asking that question. Where would I put him? I'd put him, man, in between 5 and 10. I'd have to really think that one through to give an exact spot. As a shooter, I'm going to
Yeah.
put him somewhere between 5 and 10. Thanks, Pete, for the comment. Jeff Albino, what is up, my man? He said, yep, Pistol Pete. Hey, man, Pistol Pete, when you talk about fundamentals, watching Pistol Pete shoot was funny to me because the guy had a fundamentally great looking shot, but it's just weird compared to how folks shoot. I'm going to say back then versus the way that they shoot now.
Okay. Okay. I'm looking at the comments right now, and David Cunningham just said Lamar Mundane, not Bundane. Lamar Mundane. And I know who Lamar Mundane is. He's a blacktop legend. And he's got a pretty good shot, but I'm also talking about people who's played in the NBA. I'm not talking about blacktop legends, because if that was the case, then Earl the Goat Manigoat would be one of the greatest basketball players that ever happened. And if you ever heard about Connie Hawkins, the helicopter, growing up on the blacktops, he would also be the number one dunker. The man, from what I understood from the legends in the blacktop, Connie Hawkins one time put 4 quarters on top of the backboard and exchanged it with a dollar bill while slamming the ball.
All right. Okay.
I mean, Lamar Mundane might have had the best shot, but he didn't do it in the NBA.
Okay. Jeff Albino on your earlier take had agreed with you, said most definitely, coach. David asked, where would you put Reggie Miller? He is definitely in my top 5. Man, I don't want to give it away. So, coach, I'll let you answer this one because I am going to do a top 5 on this one. So, coach, question to you from David from Facebook. Where
This is
would
going to
you
be
put Reggie Miller as a shooter?
This will be something we debate. How about that? That's my answer.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. David, I
Because
appreciate the comment. Well, next episode, I will pinky promise this. I will have a top 5 shooters with video footage. It is going to be purely the opinion of me. And
Mhm.
I will let coach and everyone that watch and listens tear my top 5 up and we'll go from there. How does that sound?
Mr. Smith, I'm sorry, but next week I'm going to take your son to school.
Oh man. All right. I like it. I like it. Before we actually move on to the next topic, coach,
Yes.
have you seen Creed 3 yet?
No, I have not. I haven't even seen Creed 1 or 2.
Man, that's been an interesting thing. So I love the movies. And when I
Mhm.
ask people that, I assume because, especially this one got marketed heavy. I had assumed that people were fans of the movies like me, which is a bad thing to assume. And that if you like the Rocky movies, you will have seen the Creed movies. Did you see the Rocky movies?
Oh.
Did you say
if the
no?
ma- Oh God, are you kidding me? If the marathon is on, I will watch 1, 2, 3, 4, and Balboa. I will miss 5 on purpose, but I will sit through all of them for the entire day just to watch them. I want to see Rocky lose to Apollo. I want to see him beat Apollo. I want to see Clubber Lang make his prediction. My prediction: pain. I want to see Clubber. I want to see Rocky take down communism and take down the Soviet wall in 4. And I want to see him against Mason the Line Dixon. I love seeing Rocky. Anytime it's on, I do. But Creed, man, I haven't gotten into it yet. I really haven't. And people have told me that I'm missing out. And I should really take a look at it, especially the first two.
You are missing out, man. So if you have Amazon Prime, Prime
Mhm.
Video, Creed 1 and 2 are both on Prime Video. And I have to tell you, the first Creed, it was good. All right. I'd say out of 5 stars, I'd give it a 3 out of 5. I think it was a great first introduction into that story, that realm of the boxing world with that cinema line to it. And I think Creed 2 was phenomenal. And I don't want to spoil too much. You know what, coach? I don't know how your schedule's looking, but I'm gonna need for you to catch at least Creed 1 before our next show so we can talk about it. Because
You
I
know
don't want
what?
to
I
bring
will
too
do
much
I
into
will
it and
do
have a
both of them.
spoilers.
I will
Okay.
watch both of them before next week. I will watch Creed 1 and I will watch Creed 2.
Okay. I
You got it.
definitely 2, in my opinion, better than 1.
Now
And
2 he's fighting Drago's kid, right?
yes,
Okay.
yes. And the actor that they picked for him, it's insane how well that kid played that role, and in my opinion, bodied that role. All right.
All, all right.
And we got Kaz in our private chat said some googly eyes for the figure behind me. Hey, that's perfect, Kaz. Thank you for that. Coach, we're gonna have that implemented onto our next stream.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's put the googly eyes back there to show how crazy I am, and I got no problem with that.
I
It's
hey,
a
I
good idea, guys.
Hey, Cause that's a fantastic idea. I appreciate the creativeness of everybody over there at WTF Nation Radio. So yeah, Coach, watch Creed 1 and 2 before our next show. I think after you watch 2, you would want to get into Creed 3. For the people that are out there, you don't necessarily have to watch 1 and 2 to catch 3, in my opinion, but I think it helps, and you'll definitely kind of see how some of the characters play into each other. But even if you've never seen 1 and 2, you can catch 3 and have a really good understanding of the movie. All right.
All right, not a problem.
Okay. But man, spoiler free, here's my thoughts on Creed 3. Kind of like the Rocky movies. You know how they have those training montages and things like that? Like you'll watch those and feel like, man, I gotta
Oh
really
yeah.
get into the gym and go and get my boxing on and things like that. I thought Creed 3 was fantastic. I'm gonna give it a 4.5 out of 5. I'm interested to see
Ooh.
what CQ over at Pop Culture Warrior, if he rated it on his well, no, he has his show this upcoming Tuesday
Yeah,
because it just
yeah.
came out.
It's not a Marvel movie, so he hasn't seen it.
Ooh. I'm gonna tell him you said that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he should be talking about the first episode of The Mandalorian or This Is Us, but instead he's going to worry about the upcoming Marvel movies or how DC is getting all messed up. Ooh.
All right, so let's check into the comments before we move on. Pete said Creed 1 and 2 are really good. Absolutely, I agree. David over on Facebook said COVID and movie prices have killed in the movie theaters. The new generation of kids stream movies. I don't know how the first sentence connects to that second sentence, but I'm just going to give you a thumbs up and say okay. Casey Gray said GG to you, Casey Gray. What does GG mean? Good game?
Good game.
All right, I'm gonna go with good game. Good game. Michelle said, "Why only 4 out of 5 or 4.5?" Who can I give my rating without? Uh, I'll text you, Michelle. The reason why I can't go a full 5, I don't want to spoil it. If people have watched the trailers, they might be looking for something. And the reason why I can't give that last 0.5 is because there's an element that's missing. But if I say it, I think it falls in the range of spoilers, and I don't want to go there. Pete said, do I need him to text CQ for me? You know what? Yeah, ask him if he's seen Creed 3, and let me know, Pete. Thank you. I appreciate that. And Casey Gray said, it used to work on Facebook. GG was a fist bump. Oh, all right.
Oh, okay.
Hey, I don't, I'm good with the technologies, but I may not keep up with all of the technologies. I use the Googles from time to
Yeah, I got no idea what the hell any of that shit is.
time.
I ain't
All
gonna
right.
lie.
Let's get into some not so great news. Zach Stacy is a
Mm,
former NFL running back. He played for a couple of teams. He got drafted by the Rams, and I want to say played a season or two with the Jets. Didn't really quite catch on, even though I thought as a running back he was talented. Over a year ago, there was film of him. There's no other way of saying this. Essentially, tossing his baby mom's his ex girlfriend was also the mother of his child, basically
yep.
through a TV, and he whooped up on her. There's no easy way of saying that. He basically whooped up on her, and it had been happening a couple of times that she decided to put some cameras up for the next time he came over and got crazy because nobody had believed her, which is something that you hear whenever there's domestic abuse incidents or whatnot, no matter if it's man to woman, woman to woman, man to man, or let's just say gender to gender. There's the people, that they come out, they tell that story, and this person had to go through the links because it wasn't her first time reporting it, but she went through the lengths of having it filmed before it was like believed. And we can't show the footage here because of the nature of the violence. But I watched the video and it did not look good at all. Coach, did you see the video?
I saw the video. Yes.
What was your thoughts?
Man, this is worse than the Ray Rice video. The savage punches that he was throwing, that he threw at her, and then throwing her into a television. It was absolutely horrific what he did to her. No, first off, let me state this right now that no man should ever raise their hands to a woman at all. And I'm very strongly have very strong reactions to those things. In fact, I think I at one time when I was in said that if anybody ever did put their hands up to their wife or their girlfriend, I'd rip their dick off and shove it down their fucking throat. What he did, if you know what Zach Stacy did, was exactly what I would shove his, freaking rip his dick off and shove it down his throat. Deplorable is the only word to truly describe what he did to his then girlfriend at that time. Just terrible.
Coach, I have to challenge you on one thing that you said, and let's have this discussion.
Okay.
So, there's evidence as well today that you will have ladies that will wail on and put their hands on a guy.
Okay.
Is he allowed to defend himself, and to what levels is appropriate?
Not to the extent where he is throwing offensive punches. I am going to state this right now. Restraint. Restraint. Woman starts throwing stuff at you and starts trying to throw punches and everything like that. You grab her arm and you try to tell her to knock it off and get down out of there. Look, that's fine. You are doing that and you're not throwing any type of offense to him. I get that. I get that. If you're defensively trying to bat their arms away or do something like that to get them out of the situation, that I get. You do not throw your hands up. You do not throw your feet up in offense to a woman. Ever. Ever. I get that part about restraining them. I get that part of getting them by the wrist and saying, knock it off. Knock it off. Calm down. Stop. Physical violence is definitely not the way, especially towards a woman. No matter, and I hate to say this because in society, anytime that a man puts his hands up to a woman in offense, he's automatically wrong. Doesn't matter which way it is. That's the way I was growing up. Now, a woman does that to a man, stopping him from doing that, that is totally fine with me. There's ways to do it, for crying out loud. If anybody went through army combatives, you know about clinching. That you had to stop that before you ended up going that round. You clinched. You stopped them from doing it. That's what you need to do. You need to stop them. Period. That's about all I got to say about that.
Hmm, okay. All right. Hey, I'm going to put up here on the screen some resources. If you are someone in need of resources, something to, a person to contact to find out help that can be available to you, there is a number that you could call 1-800-799-SAFE. That is 1-800-799-7233. If you go to this website, thehotline.org, what was interesting is the way that they display the information actually. There's a pop up that comes up that talks about how you can quickly bring this screen down. And that tells me too that maybe some people will look up resources and then whoever the abuser is it maybe comes around the corner while they're on the computer and they need to take this screen away. Like they say, if you click this red X right here, it goes away immediately. And or they even say if you hit the escape button twice, that website just disappears. I thought that was an interesting feature that they added, but interesting in both good and bad because it's likely a feature that happened so that the bad news or if somebody came around looking at them trying to look up resources that they wouldn't,
Yeah.
you know, uh,
For their own protection, because in a lot of domestic violence things, it's not just the physical violence, but it's also the psychological. It's also the way that the controlling of everything that they do, whether it being online or whether it being in the house, or that is one of those things. That's a good safe, I don't know, what am I calling it, a safety net or something like that. It's a good way to make sure that the controlling behavior is not monitored at that same time, and at least there's a step to go ahead and ensure that the safety of the person who's looking up those resources is taken into effect. So
mhm.
that's awesome that they do that.
Yep, and you could go to this website to chat with somebody live or text start to 88788. In the comments, I want to point out something. Casey Gray said that you can show a secret hand wave for someone um, if you can't verbally speak for help. It's like the sign language for I need help. And I actually saw that somewhere. I can't replicate it now. I wish I could if I remembered what it was, but I thought that was interesting. That I did a story on that on one of my live streams that I host, and that saved somebody's life actually.
Hmm.
Casey Gray said that is one finger down at a time. So it's like, are you doing like this? Oh, so pinky first, and then are you following it? And you're just trying to flash it maybe real quick to tell somebody that you need help. I thought that was great. Doing that, actually, there were two stories fairly recently of someone doing that and needing help, and somebody actually knew what it was and got the people the help that they needed.
Well, that's a good tool for. I'm going to use that from now on. I want to be on the lookout for that just in case I do see something like that. That's a good, useful tool
It
to know.
is. It is absolutely. It's kind of like sign language to an extent. I was recently having a conversation about sign language up here where I live. There's a lot of deaf people. My daughter's learning ASL, and the things that I find that are interesting are pretty cool. Like this is thank you, and if you follow it back, that means you're welcome. I figured that one out.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Yeah, that's great that your daughter's learning that, man.
Yeah, see y'all here at WTF Nation Radio, U.S. Army WTF Moments, the sports bar. We don't just talk about sports. We talk about things that you can. We give you things that you can learn here as well. All right,
Hmm.
you're welcome.
I'm gonna. You know what? My daughter's in college right now, and I'm gonna let her know if she doesn't already know that little hand gesture. I'm gonna let her know.
All
In
right.
fact, here's a funny part about that is tomorrow, my her boyfriend, her first college boyfriend, is going to be coming over the house because they're on spring break. Oh, I'm going to go ahead and tell it to her right in front of him, just so I can scare the ever living shit out of this kid.
Is it the first meet?
No, it's not the first meet. I already met the kid already, and I already scared the shit out of him when I talked to him. I basically said, "Look, you're gonna break her heart one day. Okay, just make sure it's something redeemable." That's all I said to him because whether we know it or not, we're gonna end up breaking a woman's heart one day, whether we intend to or we don't. We just got to make sure that it's redeemable and it's something that if we break her heart, we can at least apologize and make up for it. Not something that's irredeemable.
You know, I'm the father of one kid, a daughter.
Hmm.
She's 15, about to be 16. She has a high school relationship. It's her first one. The kid I've met, I like him. I like his family. I think they're awesome. But because it's their first relationship, I know that, there's going to be a transition at some point. And I don't know how she's going to deal with it, right? The advice and the thing that you had, like for me as a guy, I prefer because I the way I think about it is this: what if I had a son? How would I want another man? All right, now granted, it's this other person's father talking to my son. If I did my job as a father and I raised a young man up right, I don't think I would like the way that I'm hearing some of these dads talking to the people that are getting serious or dating
Yeah.
their, young daughters. I'm not a fan of that. I would like to see what the young man's all about, right? Assist in the vetting process, so to speak.
I get it.
But for me, man, I'd rather somebody talk to my kid with respect, and just make sure that that respect is both given and received. Because if I heard somebody talking to my son sideways, me and that father might be having a conversation.
No, hey, and I said that, you know what, and with what I told that gentleman, I was respectful with him. I wasn't like in his face or anything like that, but I was also real with him. You got to think about this. Whether we wanted to or not, we've broken our wives' hearts, we've broken girlfriends' hearts, and we've done certain things that, we were stupid about because we didn't think. And that's the honest to God's truth. Now, whether or not we were raised right or whether we were raised terribly, we know what kind of values people has. And this kid's got some values. He's a good kid. He's going through school and he's working a part-time job. So it's helping him to get through school, which my daughter, luckily enough, doesn't need a job in order to get through. But this kid, whether he knows it or not, and it's just like I did the first time I ever broke my wife's heart. I didn't know that I broke my wife's heart, and I never intentionally did it.
Mm,
But it was something that I was able to redeem myself with after breaking her heart. And you know what? That's the way I see it. Regardless of what's going to happen, I've broken my daughter's heart. I've broken my mother's heart. Come on, I got an Italian mother. You broke my heart. Boys are going to break a girl's heart, and girls are going to break a boy's heart, and it's a natural part of life, and it's the way things happen. It's just the fact that you do not want to break somebody's heart over something that you cannot be redeemed for. And I do have a story about that, but I'm not going to put my oldest son's business out there. And it
okay.
has, and I will say that's why he's divorced now.
Okay. All right.
You know.
All right. Do you know how? So Zach Stacy just got his sentencing. Did you see
Yep.
how long he got?
It feels like a slap on a wrist. It definitely does compared to a lot of other things that have happened. But yeah, I did see how much he got. 6 months in jail and a
Six
year probation.
months in jail and a year of probation. I'm gonna tell y'all, if you saw the video of Zach Stacy DDT and his girlfriend, um, you would think that 6 months was a slap on the wrist, like Coach said, and I agree too. It didn't seem appropriate. It didn't seem right. Now everybody's definition of justice is different because let me be honest. If that was my daughter, which this is the way I take, all approaches to everybody, right? We're all human beings. Okay, somebody is somebody's son, somebody is somebody's daughter. So, man, oh, how do I say this? Just because unless you're just purely evil, like you do something just despicable, I have a baseline level of respect for who you are as a person. when you do something like what Zach Stacy did, it doesn't matter that that person's not related to me. I think that there's levels of justice that I almost guarantee you that if that young lady was a sheriff's daughter or a judge's kid, Zach Stacy would have gotten longer than just 6 months by whatever sentencing guidelines occurred or happened in the state that he got prosecuted at. And that's what bothers me. There doesn't seem to be this baseline level of sentencing when you get have a trial by your peers that people are receiving. Because man, if that was my kid, 6 months just did not seem long enough for somebody that whooped this lady's ass the way that he did.
Oh, that's true. That is true, and there is no federal minimal types of things because these types of charges are state charges. They're not federal charges, so they do vary by state, and then they can also vary by county within the state too. So, unfortunately, there is nothing out there that can say that's justice for it's justice based upon where they live. And that's a sad part, especially with something like this. But on top of that, too, I mean, in a way, I'm going to say that, domestic violence as a federal crime is a little bit too harsh, if you get where I'm saying that.
Got you.
I mean, as a felony, as a state felony or something like that, yeah, that's fine. Not a federal offense. And I'm pretty sure with all the military people here, they kind of understand about that, especially dealing with the Uniform Code of Military Justice. Any type of charge that we do can be considered a federal crime, and that goes on every record there is. State crimes, they can also be expunged, and I've had dealings with that, not for myself, but with the population that I ended up serving, of trying to expunge some of these state charges, whether it be in domestic violence or whether it be in larceny or things like that. Federal charges are extremely hard to expunge off of a record for somebody who's trying to better themselves. The state charges, they can be done through an expungement clinic. So, yeah, justice is not as equal, and it's also based on where you live, but there should be, I don't know, some type of standard as far as what you can do and based off the circumstances on that. Six months doesn't seem to be justice enough for what he did, and a year probation afterwards still doesn't seem like it warrants what happened with what Zach Stacy did.
Okay. Before we go to the next show topic, let's take a look at the comments and see what we had. We had the Como Queen, as she called herself. Casey Gray was the one giving us the pinky first, fingers up, I need help sign. So thank you, Casey Gray, for that. Greek the Peak said, no man needs to hit a woman, and men better wake up and that they should come back and just talk. Hey, Pete, that sounds great and all, but some people just simply need help mentally, and there is no come back and talk. And then also, oh man, don't get canceled for saying this one. Sometimes, like, if you get hit, it's reactionary. It doesn't matter who hit you. You kind of that fight or flight response kicks in. I'm not
Mhm.
saying that that's where I land. In the moment, things could be tricky, and I'm gonna shut up before I get canceled. Casey Gray also said, let's see, as a sports bar about an angel shot. All right. Let's see. Talking about the mom and dad thing, he says, true that you don't know the kid's dad or a mean mom like myself, lol. And to leave it to divine justice. Okay. Divine
All right.
justice. So in that response, I guess there's some people that say, karma comes back and gets people the way that it needs to happen. I am a believer of ooh, things balance themselves out, whether it's helped or you just, wait and let things do what it needs to do. I think in the end, things kind of always balance themselves out.
Hmm.
The scales of justice, so to speak, get fixed one way or another.
They end up doing it, whether it be in the actual courts or the courts of public opinion.
Mm-hmm. Pete the Greek said it also depends on how deep your pockets are and if you're able to afford a very good lawyer. That's true too. Look, man, you know
Yeah.
what? Not this episode. I'm not going to go there this episode because I could go off on a tangent about legal stuff. Now, it's going to be.
How
Oh,
much did Robert Shapiro and Johnny Cochran cost?
hey, man. He said
Hey,
it.
that's sports.
He said it. This is a horrible, horrible segue because we're going to go from talking about a story that had domestic abuse and fighting undertones to UFC that had occurred over the
Oh
weekend.
yes.
Did you watch any
with
of the
with
fights?
with and I hate to say this without with one of the worst people who have had issues with domestic violence and dealing with dealing with the law and everything that John Bones Jones has done too. My
Talk about it,
goodness,
coach,
yeah.
because I don't keep up with UFC. I know a lot of our viewers and listeners do. So, what all came from UFC 258? Talk about, I think it was 258. Talk about
Yeah, no,
John Bones Jones and educate us on
uh,
all of the news that came from it.
all right. Actually, King, it was UFC 285. Yeah, they're coming a
285.
little.
I
Yeah,
I flipped him.
but John Bones Jones, for the first time in 3 years, entered the octagon, and he was going against Cyril Gain, and this was for the vacant heavyweight championship within the UFC, within the Ultimate Fighting Championship. And Cyril had a first good 2 minutes, and then the last 4 seconds after that, well, he got stuck in a guillotine choke, and John Bones Jones is now the undisputed heavyweight champion of the UFC. John Bones Jones now becomes the third fighter to go into the octagon that has won the light heavyweight as well as the heavyweight championships. First one is the UFC legend Randy Couture. The other one is Daniel Cormier. Now, John Bones Jones, as many of y'all have known, has had his series of problems, whether it dealing with steroids, whether it dealing with domestic violence, whether it dealing with alcoholism. He's taken 3 years off. He's cleaned himself up. He did not look like he had any ring rust from taking that long of a time period off last night, but he did really daggone good. Obviously, it only took 2 minutes for him to go ahead and win the championship. But John Bones Jones, and I don't know why I see good, but Jones right now, a best pound for pound fighter in UFC history. That's debatable. He was pretty daggone, he was up there, but then you've also got some of the lower weight classes that can claim a couple things on him. But he is 27-1 and 1, with his one loss coming in as a ridiculous disqualification in a match that he was actually winning. And it was extremely controversial of the fact that he actually does have that one loss. But we could be talking about an undefeated John Jones as the UFC heavyweight champion. But let's just go over this right now. He has the longest unbeaten streak in UFC history at 19 fights. Victories when he was the light heavyweight champion in 15 title fights and 11 title defenses. Okay, let's just be honest here. This man is the baddest MFer, and it's been going on for over a decade. He was the youngest UFC light heavyweight champion in history, and I think he was also the youngest overall champion in history. And now, after he's got himself cleaned, hopefully back onto the right track, we haven't seen anything coming back from him over the past couple of days, whether actually the fight was last night. So, they end up taking blood and urine samples afterwards. And we haven't gotten any word about something coming back positive for him like it has in the past from past fights. He looks like he's clean, looks like he's got his life in order. And John Jones is now on his way of defending the UFC heavyweight championship for the first time in his career. And he might go down as the greatest fighter in UFC history. He's not my favorite fighter, but UFC has had a lack of well, I'll say this: stars have come and gone, and UFC goes up and down as far as the star power goes through. Okay, UFC back when I first started pulling it was right after the first Ultimate Fighter with Stephen Bonner and Forrest Griffin. Forrest Griffin was my man, and they've had their stars. You can go back through the times of Tito Ortiz, Randy Couture, Forrest Griffin, Sugar Rashad, not Sugar, Rashad Evans, George St. Pierre. I can go on and on and on about that. And then you have women that, just like, I mean, even though Amanda Nunez has been one of the best fighters ever, the women's division was the best when Ronda Rousey, and was at the hottest when Ronda Rousey was the champion. For the last several years, or before that, in the beginning of the decade, beginning of last decade, Conor McGregor was holding the UFC, and the star power of Conor McGregor ended up propelling the UFC even higher. UFC hasn't had a superstar in quite a while ever since COVID started hitting, and now Jones is back into the ring. He's been a big star. He was a big star before when he was the light heavyweight champion, and I'm hoping that John Jones is able to continue on as the UFC heavyweight champion and keep his star power up a little bit higher, even though his star has degraded with all of his past troubles. And I hope that the UFC can kind of get back to its prominence that it once had. Now, one thing I am going to complain about the UFC is the fact that for $65, you had to buy that on top of being an ESPN Plus subscriber.
No,
No,
no, no,
no,
no,
no,
no,
no,
no.
no. No, that's that. I mean, look, the pay per view way that the distribution of the fights, and it's turning a lot more people off. There are more people that are illegally streaming these big matches instead of paying on pay per view than there are people that are actually paying it. So please, please find a better way to market your sport outside of pay per view. This not only goes for UFC, but this is also going to professional boxing and professional wrestling. All three of those have had their stars diminished because this pay per view distribution has gone south in the age of the streaming. People are getting illegal streams and they're watching them through illegal methods, and there's no way to regulate them. And it's better off that you're clicking through pop-ups for non-US websites for betting and watching the fight for free than it is to pay $65 on top of a streaming charge for ESPN just to watch this fight without pop-up ads. I mean, I can't tell you when the last time I bought a pay-per-view was. I don't know about you, King, but it's been a while for me. And the only way that you're really going to grow it back to the prominence that it once had is if you get out of this pay-per-view type of deals that they've got out there. You know what? I take that back. There was one time that I did buy a pay-per-view, and the only time I did was because it was during COVID. That was the Roy Jones Jr. Mike Tyson exhibition match with
Okay.
Snoop. You remember that one when
Yep.
Snoop Dogg was the commentator?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, that was the last time I did that. That's because we had nothing else better to do during COVID, so I bought that. But
I'm gonna have a
I
dream,
haven't bought a
Coach.
fight or anything.
I'm gonna have a dream. In that dream, I did pay for one pay-per-view match. And in my dream, when somebody asked me why I paid, is because I said I didn't know of any other way to watch it. And in that dream, the person in my dream showed me how to watch it from another streaming way without having to pay anything. So look, I didn't illegally do anything. I dreamt it and had a remedy given to me in the dream. And that's how that all went down.
Hey, however you were able to do it, that's fine with me. But I'm just going to say that this distribution method is what's killing the popularity of what's happening out there. They have to find some other way in order for this to actually become as popular as it once was. I mean, before, geez, they had it. They had God. I'm trying to remember. You know, the way that the distribution of sports is going, if you're trying to get a younger audience, you need to target that younger audience with methods that will actually get them to watch. Major League Baseball is about to go through with that if these regional sports channels do go bankrupt during the season. There's not going to be a way for them to actually watch the game, even though that they're tailoring the game to a younger audience.
Hmm.
Same things happening with UFC. Same thing happened with boxing. I mean, nobody even talks about boxing anymore unless it's one of the YouTube fighters fighting an actual boxer. I can't tell you who the heavyweight champion of the world was or is. After the Klitschko kid and the and one of the Fury guys. I can't tell you anybody else who's actually a heavyweight
Me neither.
in boxer. Nobody can. But back, in the 90s and the 2000s going in there, when Iron Mike was at the top of his game and biting people's ears off like Holyfield, and you had Foreman, Foreman's old ass doing that stuff, and up and coming Lennox Lewis, we knew who these fighters were. Now we don't.
Nope.
And it's because we cannot access the same way. We don't have the pockets and we don't want to spend that money on something that we can possibly get for free in a dream.
Hey man, I am with you 100%. I think it's a marketing problem. I think it's also, you can say it's a technology problem. The way that technology has advanced over the last, you can even just say the last 5 years. I think
Hmm.
that these companies are going to have to figure out a way of, if you're trying to make the the bottom line, the main thing, you're gonna have to figure out a way, create your own app and force everybody to go over to that app might be the solution. There's gonna be ways, like how Netflix is trying to cut down on stream sharing. I think that as the technology evolves, the way that people are combating it's going to evolve as well. But there's gonna be a ever progressive cycle that goes, and I don't think there's ever just gonna be a right answer.
There isn't a right answer, but I will also mention that somebody who the one league that is doing it right is the NFL. NFL right now, you can stream everything on. You can watch the games on Amazon, even out of market games. They've got the Amazon games on Thursday nights. You can get the NFL Red Zone channel on most of these TV streaming services. You can get every single one of your NFL games every Sunday. You've always got two, or you've always got two either on the first or and then one game. You either got the 1 o'clock, you got two games, and then at the 4:25, you got two games or something like that. Then you've got your Sunday night game and your Monday night game. You're playing the entire league where you can actually take a look at, as much of the around the entire league as much as you want from Thursday going all the way up until Monday. The NBA, it's on ESPN, it's on TNT, but it's also on, the regular channels. The fights back in the day, there were some of those fights that were going on the over the air, but they were also on they were also on channels that we can get on streaming devices like
Hmm.
YouTube TV, Philo, don't know what other streaming kind of network things that they're out there, but you can have some place where you're able to, actually watch it. One of the really good two of the really good apps where you can start watching, like actual combat sports are the Fight app and DAZN, DAZN. If you can come to an agreement where you're not paying pay-per-view prices for those things, or you're paying a reduced type of price, like I'm not going to say like I don't know. If I'm paying $10 a month for a service and I pay another $10 for a
A,
type of event,
a
not
single event
60,
within it.
yeah, for a
Yeah.
single event, I will be okay with that because I'm just paying $20 over a time period just to watch something. But oh God, WWE used to have the WWE network where you used to get their pay-per-views for $9.99 a month. Okay, and I remember watching WrestleMania, their biggest pay-per-view, for $10 a month. And that was the cost of 2 or 3 pay-per-views for the entire year. I was able to watch every single one of their pay-per-view matches and their content over, over an entire year for the cost of 3 different pay-per-views. You need something like that in this digital age in order to actually get a fan base. And look, they're worried about money. That's all that this is coming down to, is money. And if you really are concerning about the bottom line, you're going to end up alienating your fan base, and you're going to end up alienating the people that are on the fence about watching your stuff. If you want to grow your audience, a pay per view is not going to grow your audience. A streaming service may grow your audience a little bit more, especially at an affordable price point.
You know what I find interesting?
What's that?
As I'm taking a look at the fight card over this past weekend in Vegas, the one that stood out to me is that Alexa
Alexa Grasso, yes.
Grasso, all right, of Mexican origins. The
Mhm.
odds were against her, and she won. Had you taken $100 and you bet on all 4 of the main fights, and they don't list the odds. Oh, actually, so they do list the odds here for this one.
Yeah.
So let's say 5. So all 5. You could have bet $100 on all of the fights and went positive on this fight alone, because a $100 bet would have netted you 530. So the payout would have been $630 had you bet $100 on this fight and picked Alexa to win.
Phew.
That's a wild way to bet, because that's not a big profit. But
Yeah.
when I'm doing sports betting, because that's something that I do, I take a look and I see what the odds are, and if there's one that's a wild swing like this, sometimes I'll just say I'm gonna throw money on the underdog and see what happens.
Yeah.
Were there any interesting takes? I'm not a UFC fighter, but I definitely know people that are. Were there any interesting prelim fights or main card fights that stood out to you?
All right, you're gonna kill me on this. The only match I watched, the only match that I actually looked at was the John Bones Jones and
Okay,
Zero
hey,
Gate.
that's fair.
I did not watch any of the prelim matches. In fact, it was background noise, to be honest with you. That's exactly what it was when those matches were on. I was busy doing other things. I'm gonna relay a couple things, kind of personal out here, but I had my family dog of 13 years pass away this past
Oh
Wednesday.
no.
Yeah, I was in Florida when he passed away, and it was trying hard to console my family, for things like that. So we had to go get him cremated, and wasn't the best times on Saturday night, but you know, it's one of the life things that you got to do, and that's what I was doing. I was trying to make sure everything was okay before the main event, so I did not watch any of the prelims.
How long was the dog a part of the family? I think you said it. You say 13 years.
13 years, man. We got him in Hawaii, and I remember getting him in Hawaii, and we brought him back from Hawaii, and we ended up getting another dog shortly after we came back from Hawaii, and he got that dog pregnant, and 2 of his offspring are still living with us right now. So, and she unfortunately died last year when right after my father passed away, the mother. So, just within a matter of a year, we've lost 2 dogs and 2 big parts of our family that we've had for over a decade. So, things like that, they hurt. It does, but everything's much better now, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I When I went to watch my first ever UFC fight of somebody's house, like I said, I'm not big on it, but I know I have friends that are. I went over there and there was, beer, wings,
Hmm.
food and stuff, but nobody cared about the early prelims. They didn't care about the prelims, and really they didn't care about most of the main card stuff. It was whatever the title matchup was
Yep.
that that's when we tuned in. We were playing music and just talking and drinking until that actual main fight came up. So
Oh yeah. No, oh yeah, and that's how it used to be, and it used to be that way with boxing as well. It was always a Tyson fight. I didn't care who was on the undercard, but anytime Tyson was on, I'd be just waiting around and just BSing and partying, and then Tyson would get into the ring, and I'd hear "Welcome to the Terror Dome," and my dick would end up getting hard, and I'd be a happy motherfucker.
I like it. I
Man,
like it.
come on, man, come on, man. Mike Tyson was the baddest motherfucker on the face of the earth. There ain't nobody that can argue that. That the baddest man on the planet was Iron Mike. It is Iron Mike Tyson. I see him now. I'm still running the other way.
Yes, yeah. Would you Tyson in his prime?
Oh,
Let's say they said, Coach, I'll pay you 500,000 to last 2 rounds in the ring with Iron Mike in his prime. Would you do it for 500K, Coach?
man, all right, first off, I'd never be able to collect on that bet because there ain't no way in your prime that anybody would last 2 rounds with Iron Mike. I saw him at Trump Plaza knock out Leon Spinks in 93 seconds, and Spinks was supposed to be the true heavyweight champion, not Iron Mike. No, no, nobody could last 2 rounds with Iron Mike. It was unbelievable when Buster Douglas actually went into 10 rounds with Iron Mike and got him so tired that he ended up beating him over in that night. But there was no way in that prime. And I remember watching Mike Tyson when I was 5 years old, going all the way up until he went to prison. Nobody was getting out of that first round. It wasn't a question of how long you were going to go with Tyson or when Tyson was going to win. It was how long is it going to take for Tyson to knock you the hell out? It always was that way. There's no way I'd make 2 rounds.
Okay, all right. I agree. There's no way I'd make 1 round. I did. I tried boxing out. So when you're in tech school, when you're in the military, and you're in
Mhm.
your AIT if you're Army, tech school if you're in the Air Force. I don't know what other branches of service call their like where you're learning your job. We would do stupid stuff. Some of the stupid stuff that we would do was, oh, hey, there's a thunderstorm outside. We've been cooped up in the barracks all day. Why don't we go buy some boxing gloves at the local Walmart and go have boxing rounds outside in the pouring down rain with thunderstorm happening? And let me tell you, I don't know what Army combatives was because I didn't do that, but it just it in outside boxing we would do 3 1-minute rounds. Even when
Yeah.
in the best shape of my life, I'm exhausted after the first minute in the first round.
Yep.
These boxers and the shape, and just fighters in general, and the shape that they're in, I mean, hats off to these fighters that compete at that level and have the stamina to go multiple rounds in a combat sport. Have you tried
Yeah.
anything like boxing, Coach?
No, I never did boxing. I mean, I did some of the speed bag and the heavy bags. That was basically it. My son is a Brazilian jiu-jitsu technician. He's a black belt as well. I've done that with him. The conditioning that you have to do some types of combat sports, yeah, that's it's definitely you have to be in great condition. I was friends with a lot of people who were on the wrestling teams in high school, and if they had an ounce of fat on them, and if they ate a carb, they might double their weight. These guys had unbelievable conditioning. And I've got respect for a lot of guys who go through especially boxers too, because it's all, you think it's all upper body strength, but you've got to move around with your feet too, and you have to have proper feet placement. So your feet coordination and your balance and your leg strength also come into play on that too. It is a total body endurance type of thing, when you're going into the actual boxing ring. And I do have respect for him with everything, but you are smoked after doing a lot of that because you're not used to doing those movements, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it takes a lot of conditioning in order to actually be good at doing that.
Hey, all I know is after watching Creed 3
Mhm.
and that boxing montage, I said, man, I gotta find me a boxing gym to get in. Hey, with the viewers out there, for those of y'all watching and listening, would y'all like to see me get into well, I guess it would be an amateur boxing match? Let me know. Put it in the comment section because I would like to get out there and put myself through some training, okay? And try one match in my life just to see how it is. If y'all would like to see that, let me know. I just might do it. There's a place here that I could do that type of training. I ain't gonna say get my behind kicked. We'll see what happens. I'm 38, I'm out of shape, but in my head, I'm the best thing smoking since sliced bread.
See, man, I'll deal with the water stuff. I'll get on a surfboard. I'll do some stand up paddleboarding to get my buck back in shape, man. My days of getting into a combat gym are definitely over from doing that. I'm not going into that stuff.
All right, let's go into the comment section to see what we have before we go to the next topic. We have Marion Brian Amar Santos. That's a whole lot of names. Over on Facebook said, I like to fight in one championship. I saw that when the person typed it, and I don't know if ONE is a certain fight or if that was one of the fighters that was in UFC 285, but they wrote, I like to fight in one
One
championship.
one championship is its own promotion. It's been pulled up. Gosh Almighty, hold on. I'm gonna go through this, but this has been for about 10 years now. One championship has had their own promotions that's out there. It is an MMA, submission, kickboxing, Muay Thai. They've got, it's more on the martial arts instead of the wrestling and the striking like UFC has. It's another type of fighting promotion, and they're pretty damn good about it.
Okay, awesome,
Yeah.
awesome. All right, shout out to Marion for that comment. We appreciate it. Greek said, Pete the Greek said, paying for pay per view is dead. And Coach and I would agree. He
Yep.
also said that his dog of 15 years passed away, and it was like he lost a family member. So he's so sorry for you, Coach, and that he knows how it feels.
Thank you, Pete. Appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah, Pete, definitely. I appreciate that. And then he goes into boxing. So Pete's a fighter. He is a fighter. He is trained in some martial arts. I don't know the specific martial arts that he's trained in, but he said when you're throwing a punch, um, a stretch from your foot all the way to your fist, and that you don't have to go all together lights out. That's probably true. Yet, if I'm out here throwing punches, I'm trying to haymaker all power from the get go, so that if I can end the fight early, great. That's less stamina that I have to put out. That might be my problem. And then he said that he will take me on. Hey, Pete would take me on and probably whoop my ass, even though I'm twice his size. Hey, he's more trained. I'm not saying that I'm trained. But Pete, I'll have to give it to
I'm
you,
scroll.
brother.
The good thing about us being on Facebook is that you can go ahead and scroll through people's pictures and everything like that. So I'm looking at Pete's pictures right now, and I see an ugly dude that both of us know, but I'm also seeing some of the people that he's meeting over there. So I know Pete's a wrestling fan because if I'm right, that's oh damn, who the hell's that guy? He's in AEW now. I can't remember his damn name, but big ass wrestler. Can't remember the dude's name. He's also got a couple pictures. He's got a picture of him and Sergeant Slaughter, who was not in the United States Army or the Marine Corps. Got a picture of him and who is that? Trish Stratus? Yes, that is Trish Stratus. I'm Facebook stalking him right now. He's also got a picture of him with DDP, Lita, and Christian. Oh God, who the hell is this guy? I've seen this guy before. He's also got a picture of him with the blue and the black Power Rangers. So Pete's a martial artist. Keith Lee, that's this guy's name. That's it. He's also got a picture of the green with him with the Green Power Rangers. See, Pete, this is what we do online. We also Facebook stalk everybody and go through your public profile. Maybe. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. What do we got here? Yeah, he
Hey,
is Pete's a martial artist. Yep, I already see him in his gi right here.
yep. See, he knows what he's doing. Me, I'm just trying to go for the haymaker early and hope it connects. But he said that Trish is one day going to be his wife.
Man, first off, you would have to go up to Canada. There ain't no way in hell that's happening. By the way, that's awesome that you met Mick Foley and Jungle Boy and oh God, I can't remember Adam Cole's wife. I can't remember her name. But yeah, no, you would have to go all the way up to Canada to go meet Trish Stratus, and that ain't happening because I know you're an American. So
America.
you ain't going anywhere about that, buddy.
All right. Let's see. Last story of the day before we sign off, Coach. Have you ever gone to an NFL combine?
No, I have not, but I have seen him on TV, and I have